I have a special episode for you today. We have Bart Oor and Sander Brienen on the podcast today to talk about Balean. If you remember correctly, Bart was on the podcast a number of months ago talking about collaboration. Today, we're going to be talking about their founder story and how they founded Balean and what to expect when they launch in October. This is a great platform if you are somebody who is independent or you have an independent project and you're looking for funding and you're looking for support. Just full disclosure, I am a part of this. I'm one of their early adopters, and I've been working with them in collaboration to bring awareness of how people work independently and how they need funding and how they need that kind of support. So we're going to talk about that on today's episode of the How to Protect the Ocean podcast. Let's start the show. Hey everybody, welcome back to another exciting episode of the How to Protect the Ocean podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Lewin, and this is the podcast where you find out what's happening with the ocean, how you can speak up for the ocean, what you can do to live for a better ocean by taking action. On today's episode, we have two very special guests. We have Bart Oor and Sander Brienen, who are here to talk about their founder story and how they founded Balean, how they met as neighbors. We're going to talk about what they do for living before this and how they pivoted and how they wanted to really do something that mattered in the crux of things. They both are entrepreneurs and they are very passionate about the ocean. And they looked at the ocean, they said, what can we do to help? We want to help, and that's what they do, and that's what they're doing right now, is they're building a platform to help independent projects, independent individuals who want to do something to help the ocean, and they are going to help them get funding and provide support for them. So it's going to be a great platform that I want people to know about, especially you guys. So let's get into it. Here's the interview with Bart Oor and Sander Brienen. Enjoy the interview, and I'll talk to you after. Hey, Bart. Hey, Sander. Welcome to the How to Protect the Ocean podcast. Are you ready to talk about marine conservation?
Definitely. So,
yeah, bring it on.
Right on. This is going to be a lot of fun. Bart, you've been on the podcast before. We talked about collaboration. That was a big part of that discussion. And today we're going to be talking about Balean. We talked a little bit about Balean last time, but we're really going to go into the founder story of Balean. We have Bart, we have Sander here. You guys are the founders, and we're going to hear about what you are hoping to accomplish with Balean. We're going to find out your backgrounds. We're going to find out, the platform, how this is all going to work out. It's going to be a lot of fun. This is going to be something that I've been looking forward to for a long time. So I can't wait to get into it. But before we do, why don't we just start off getting to know you guys a little bit? Sander, let's start with you since this is the first time on the podcast. Welcome. Why don't you just let the audience know who you are and what you do?
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm Sander Brienen. I'm from the Netherlands, like Bart, of course. I'm the IT guy, so where Balean is going to be a platform, I'm the guy to go to in terms of IT. So I've worked in IT in like 20 years or so. Having done all kinds of roles, and in the recent times, I sort of got sick of all the money making, all the commercial stuff, and decided to do a third career switch.
Another pivot.
This is my third pivot. So I started like really deep dive IT, then I went more into consultancy. So that was the first pivot, and then that went more in consultancy versus a combination in business development, so to say.
Gotcha.
That pivoted into a sales leadership role, and now I'm a full entrepreneur.
Right on. I love that. That's quite the evolution, which we'll dive into in just a second. Bart, you've been on the podcast before. Why don't you remind people of who you are and what you do?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Bart Oor. Together with Sander, I am one of the co-founders for Balean, and we are ocean entrepreneurs. And what we do is we bring people together. We have a community of ocean lovers, ocean impact makers, and anyone who cares about the ocean and wants to feel like I can contribute, I can make a difference, and I have an idea or I want to help. That's what we do. Yeah, and where Sander is the IT person, I am not the IT person. I have no clue where to start. But what I really like is, I like collaboration. I like bringing people together. I like projects. I like having long-term views and big visions. That's where I really thrive. But also, it gives me energy. And that's where Balean is also in, especially now in the current phases where things are really, really kicking off, where we are, the ball is rolling. yeah, we feel super excited about where we're heading towards the launch of our Balean platform, where all ocean impact initiatives, ocean storytellers, and impact makers come together, and for any individual to join and participate and be part of the solution. That's what we do.
Yeah, I love that. And then we're going to dive into that in just a moment on today's episode. But I want to go back a little bit and dive into the beginnings. It's a very interesting story how you guys came together. But before you guys knew each other, because of physical proximity, I think, which we'll get into in just a moment. So Sander, you mentioned you were doing IT. Were you ever interested? You guys are from the Netherlands, so you're surrounded by water. Did you grow up around the water? Did you grow up more inland? Like, how did the ocean impact your life, or did it at all at that point, like at a young age or as you were growing up?
Yeah, so first of all, I was grown up more inland, so not really at the coast.
Gotcha.
But at age 20 or so, I went for a long trip to Australia, New Zealand. Mm-hmm. And that's where, I really love nature in general, but there I went diving on the Great Barrier Reef. That was an amazing experience. Then I went to New Zealand, where you have this huge national park. It's incredibly large with a lot of rain. The Milford Sound, and I'm not sure if you know it. And that's also like the most beautiful area in the world, I think. People that went to Norway and in Europe will know a little bit how it would look. It's a bit like the fjords in Norway. That's magnificent, and so that's where I started loving it. Later in my life, I also went to islands in the Netherlands, often for vacations. Started doing sailing and things like that. So I have my sail, how is it called, license or so, like a driving license, but then for sailboats.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, so slowly it in my younger years not, but in my later ages, in my 20s, so to say, I really got this love for coastal areas, sea, water in general. There it started.
It's so funny how, like, I'm surrounded. I live in Ontario, Canada, and I'm surrounded by the Great Lakes, and a lot of times growing up, all you think about is going elsewhere for water, like for for the actual ocean, not what we call the Sweetwater Ocean here in the Great Lakes. But you go to these beautiful places, Australia, New Zealand, like the Caribbean, and down in like the south, like in the Mediterranean, all these beautiful tropical places. But we have these wonderful coastlines just around our own quote unquote backyard. And you can do sailing, and you can do scuba diving, and you can do snorkeling. Might be a little cooler in the water, but it's still beautiful and picturesque, and we just don't realize it until maybe we're adults, like Sander, when you start to go on vacation to these islands in the Netherlands, which I would imagine would be spectacular views. Some nice water with a lot of wind, I'm sure, as well. Great for sailing, which is wonderful. And I think that's really interesting to get that appreciation for the ocean as you grow up, and you're able to get a little bit of money to travel and to move out, like in your 20s and 30s and so forth. And I think that's really great. Now you chose, the life of an IT person, an IT guy. And so the first job, when you said you were like deep into IT, did you work for, a company where you were that IT person? You're setting up the computers, you're looking at the networks, you're looking at security. Was that the kind of IT guy that you were?
Entirely not.
Okay. What were you doing?
No, I in my time I was studying, I worked for an organization where you had exactly that role, and I did a bit of that, but that was definitely not my cup of tea. I went for a big integrator, and in that organization, I did projects for large organizations where I programmed computer systems. And think about, for example, nowadays you have this banking app on your phone. Things like that.
Oh, wow. So you're like creating.
Yeah, but then really like backend systems, like really large backend systems. We build those things. Yeah.
That's
He
amazing.
still repairs my iPad if I mess up with it. I mean, he tells he doesn't do that, but he can.
He can still do
To a
that.
certain extent, I can. There is a limitation though with Windows. I don't go well with Windows, but for all the rest, I'm good. And so yeah, no.
Duly noted.
Yeah, but
duly noted. But I mean that's pretty cool that you are part of these teams that create like the back end, because I think a lot of people don't really understand. We see the front end of a lot of these banking apps and that we know and trust and know that they're secure to handle our money. And I know when like mobile banking came out for me, you don't trust it at the beginning. You're just like, well, hold on a second. Like, this is not something that's going to work, but it works out so well because of people like yourself, around the world that are working on these back-end systems. It's like a pretty important thing. It's like the unsung heroes of modern day, banking and using mobile apps and stuff, because we don't realize it. We just see the front. We just see the user interface, and that's all we care about, as we use it, right? And so I think it's kind of nice that you got to be a part of that, and has like meaning towards people's lives. I mean, that's got to be is that a big driver for you when you work on something, like when you look, like every time you've done pivoting, right? You mentioned that you've done pivoting before, like from the work that you were doing, working on these back end systems and then going into consultancy. What was the driver to move? Was it just something different, or what was that quest you wanted to get?
Yeah, so that started in my youth, I must say. So in my youth, I started playing with the computer that we had at home, and that slowly became sort of my computer, although it was in fact my parents.
Right.
But I was doing so much with it, and also I knew a lot more than both my parents. So they started also asking me things, and that's also you mentioned. Okay, it's creating. Yeah, it's creating. So I remember a situation where my dad was asking me to build something, as you had a problem, and he was describing it to me, and then I had to build it for him. I think it was in batch script in MS DOS back then. Long time.
Oh wow!
Yes.
Yeah.
But
I remember those days.
But taking in his question, building something, and then handing it back and getting the feedback. Oh, this is great! You've done it very good. This is exactly what I wanted. That was my driver. So exactly translating the question into something workable, and then see people using that. That's definitely something I love to do. That's also why I went for that. Also because I did so much with computers already. It was sort of a logical follow-up to go
for sure.
Study that. And then at some point, the switch to consultancy is also because that helped me go much more in front of the customer. I was already having a customer-facing role, but that really got me into, okay, now you go into the customer, hear his problem, and then give him a solution. And later on, I went for customer success, which is sort of a sales role. And the same thing, help the customer improve, help the customer be successful. And that being successful, that's really the big drive.
Yeah, that's interesting, because like my day job, I work as a customer success person. Yeah, we talked about this before, which is great. So that's amazing. It's such a must have been quite the change. Were there some challenges that you had going from working in the back end to being more customer facing?
Of course, you have to learn. I mean, if you've ever worked with developers, they tend to be the shy people. And going into a public or a customer-facing role, you have to be a lot more proactive. You have to be a lot more communicative. In the beginning, you had some struggles, but then I had also good people or maybe good mentors that helped me improve, that helped me see what to change and what to improve. From there, and that really helped me in getting better in it. And I must say, I have this tendency of seeing the way forward very easily. So people tell me, and then it already starts going round in my head. Okay, this could be the solution, and I immediately see a path forward. But I also see from limited context, okay, but this is the situation. You have other organizations with similar situations, so it must be this. And then you tell those people, and then they got, wow, that's exactly the problem. But that's because there were so many organizations already before them that it's then easy. That makes it easy. So also experience, the years working in there helped in being successful in that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. Now, going from that, you're getting, you have this technical background that you've been building over these years, not only from a back end perspective and behind the scenes perspective, but now you're getting in the customer facing. So you're dealing more with customers and more with people facing it. Now you become an entrepreneur.
Yes.
What is Balean your first go at being an entrepreneur, or obviously you have your own consultancy. That's an entrepreneurial kind of venture, but was Balean your next leap, I guess?
Yeah, and going like fully entrepreneurial at Balean was, and the organization behind it is my first leap. In a previous role, I did become responsible for a larger team and also responsible for profit and loss. So that makes you already a kind of entrepreneur, but I was always under the hood of something else. So I was always working for a larger organization, but with the profit and loss responsibility. And now I'm completely on my own.
Yeah. Now we have our own assets on the table, right?
Yes.
On the balance sheet suddenly.
But it's also the freedom. I mean, I am very secure in it nowadays in moving forward, and I'm enjoying the freedom as well.
Yeah, you were ready for that, because like with freedom also comes a lot more responsibility, right? And there's a lot more. I guess there's a lot more risk when you're you move fully as an entrepreneur, and that takes a lot of guts to do that move, but also to just be like, I'm responsible for this risk. So it's like, it's on me, it's on Bart, like it's on us, like as a team to move forward. Exactly. And I think that takes some time to evolve as a business person, as you have, to get into that, as someone who also had to go through that in certain times of my life. Yeah. I know there was one time where I was not ready, and then I went back to the workforce. So, you kind of evolve as you get more comfortable with that type of risk.
If you feel that the risks are really pressing you down and making you reluctant and anxiety, then that's not the right time. Then it's better to move back. If the risk is just a challenge to change and to move forward with, then you're good.
Then you're good. Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree.
Do something different, right? It can also be really, if the walls come towards you in that sense, it's in a way, it's also a route you have to travel. You cannot help it. I really believe that entrepreneurial mindset is something it doesn't change from one day to the other when you register at the Chamber of Commerce, but it's more like something that has always been there, right? You always have your thoughts. It can be within an organization or your own organization, or in our case, as two founders, and then you need to do things together, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, absolutely. And Sander, even you with your background as an IT guy, but also like a developer, you're into problem solving. And that's essentially what an entrepreneur can do. So you have the background. It's just a matter of like putting in the context of what you want to work on.
My pitfall is my pitfall is that I start doing, but I don't finish doing.
Yeah.
Well, that's just good to have.
Well, that's just good to have a co-founder and someone to help you like stay on track. I completely understand, because I'm definitely that way. And Bart, last time you were on the podcast, we got a little bit of a background on you, but just to remind people, like, where did you start before? Like, how did you end up being, a co-founder with Sander, with Balean? Like, what was your evolution to going into like the working world?
Yeah, well, I was also a technical guy and moved gradually from consumer goods as an engineer towards business development and strategy. And from there, I started longing for purpose and impact. What does it bring if you create stuff that is already there and you create just more stuff? And that was really, I just mentioned how it feels like when the walls are coming towards you and you feel like you're limited. This was my moment. I decided, okay, now it's really time to make a change. What if we do something that is not just there to make money or with being an entrepreneur for the sake of being an entrepreneur, but more like, how can we make a difference? And And this making a difference, that's something that triggered something a couple of years back already.
Yeah.
It was already there, the spark.
Yeah.
And yeah, when you start thinking about something, it keeps you awake at night. You're thinking about it all the time. You're in all situations, all opportunities you see in a different light.
Yeah.
And that's what's really triggered it, and also made a difference compared to how I used to be, right?
Yeah.
If there was
Yeah.
even a Bart from the past and a Bart from the future, if there is such a thing.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
that's the beauty about, evolving, as a human being, but like you have these specific moments within your life that whether it be having kids or whether it be, looking at nature and how it's changing,
yeah,
that can make you pivot and make you switch. And sometimes it's just like, oh, I want something different. And I want to be just like Sander. It's like, I want to
yeah,
go into more customer facing roles, and I want to go into,
yeah.
more roles where I have more control over the product and helping
Oh
bring
yeah,
it through this.
yeah,
But for you guys, for the two of you, it's interesting. You guys, when founders meet, a lot of times it's at like maybe at a meeting, of the great minds and business leaders, or you meet at a like a, who knows, like a convention or a conference or things like that. You two have a different background. You actually physically like neighbors. You live across the street from each other, right?
Yes, exactly.
yeah. Sander is right there.
Yeah.
So how did this like friendship? Because I assume it started off as a friendship. How did that friendship? Like how many years back have you been living across the street from each other?
I didn't really count, right?
We moved
when did you start living here?
in here in 2021, mid 2021. So that's about 4.5 years now.
Yep. Okay.
So
I was there 1.5 years before.
Okay.
Okay.
So
okay. So both new to the neighborhood.
Pretty new to the neighborhood. Yeah, exactly. And we now know each other about 4.5 years then. And
Nice.
as opposite neighbors, you meet each other at the street, drink a coffee together every now and then. And yeah, there's this other sort of hobby that we both have, which is dogs.
Dogs always bring people together. Yes. Dogs will always bring people together.
So they're the other co-founding team.
They're the other co-founding team, exactly. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, but what is really interesting is that sometimes you search the world for finding the right co-founder or entrepreneurial partner, business partner. And then you reach out to people, and many of them say, well, I really love your idea, but I just got this new job, or I like what you're doing, but I'm a little bit short on money, or my family cannot help, cannot work, cannot support me, and in our case, he just happens to live across the street, right? It can also be very coincidental in that sense.
Definitely.
And during one of these walks, it really started resonating. Sometimes you feel like, okay, now we're onto something, and this might actually work.
Yes.
And here we are, and then now we're suddenly in this journey.
Exactly. That's exactly the point, Bart. That this might actually work. That's also why I hooked on his idea, because I was already in my mind thinking about okay, what can I do to make more impact, to be more purposeful. And my wife, she's working in nature conservation in general and more coastal areas, but doing all other things as well. And they have all this research data they sit on, and that's an immense amount, but it's all living in Excel sheets, and that's insane. That's insane. It really blows my mind to have like thousands and thousands of lines in an Excel sheet.
I'm laughing because I've been there, as a scientist who used to love Excel, but also as a database manager, like a GIS database manager, he used to be like, are you kidding me? Like, how many more Excel sheets do you need to put into this? Like, we should be putting this into a database, like, especially like even to a point. I don't know. Does your wife work for a government, or does she work for a nonprofit organization?
It's also not, it's a commercial organization, but that organization works for a lot for government organizations.
Okay. Well, what I find funny, I used to work for federal government here in Canada, and like all of our stuff was on Excel sheets, like on personal computers. And Sander, as you know that, like as an IT guy, that must give you stress beyond stress, because all that data could be lost if that computer gets wet, or I mean, you're looking at aquatic biologists who take their computers everywhere and don't treat them properly and stuff. And we used to just be like, we need to grab that data and put them on like a central database so we don't lose this. Like, this is the people's data, you can't lose that. But scientists, we love our Excel sheets.
Yes,
we love
I know, but it's not just losing, but it's also making it accessible. But because
100%.
an Excel sheet, it crashes all the time with those large data sets. It's insane.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
you can already hear it in Sander's voice. He's just like, wait a minute, there's a lot of stress going on in this.
So this is also the trigger that I needed, right? I was the one who wasn't even aware of these risks and what might go wrong, right? But sometimes it needs to resonate, and your passion for, okay, how can we optimize? How can we do things better? That was something that there's the overlap. How can we make a difference, and how can we do things better? But what if we combine forces? What if we join forces? Right? That's basically the background, or the energy system behind our collaboration. Eh?
Yes. Yeah, and I love that. I'm looking on the website, and on your founder story page, you have the question, what if we could do something that truly mattered? And I feel like everybody wants to answer that question at some point in their life, but that's also a very big question. There's so many different ways that you can go to answer that question and still be legitimate and still, do something that truly matters. How did it go from let's do something that truly mattered? What if we could do something that truly mattered to let's help people. Let's help people that are trying to help the ocean. Yeah. How did that step? That seems to be like a big step.
Yeah, but it's also an evolution, right? So that didn't start immediately. So first of all, I remember Bart coming to me reluctantly with this idea. I have this idea, and can you have a look at it? Maybe give your opinion about it, if it would work or not, and if it's even doable. And then he started explaining me, and immediately, as I said earlier, things started going round and round and seeing solutions, but also opportunities beyond what he was explaining around data collection. And so we started also brainstorming, and all the ideas came, and more ideas came. I think it started with a simple, let's take a piece of ocean and have people adopt it, so to say. And also with the idea, we are a mechanical engineer and a computer engineer. What can a mechanical engineer and a computer engineer do to improve ocean conservation? I mean, I'm not, I can dive a little, but I'm not very well. But I have no clue about marine life at all. I'm not a biologist. I know a little bit nowadays, a bit more than back then, but it's not close enough to become a marine conservatist, or how do you call it in English?
Conservationist. Yeah.
Conservationist. Yes.
Right. Yeah.
So with our abilities, with our skill, what can we do to make an improvement, to make impact in ocean conservation? And that's why we came up with this idea of, let's bring people together with all these organizations that are actually doing something on ocean conservation. And just that simple idea to bring people together, that's where it started. And then it started evolving from that point on.
Yeah. Yeah, Sander, you were actually the first one who understood my idea, right? Let me start with that. That's also a very important measure before you start talking to co-founders. You need someone to understand what you mean. And remember very clearly that we were talking about this, how can we make an impact, and where is this? We both have a passion for nature, conservation, and sustainability. We're worried also about climate change and what you can do there. If you really zoom out and you look at the Earth and you see all this amazing amount of water, it really triggers this mind of, hold on, there's so much more than what we see on our everyday life. There should be something there, and I remember very clearly that one of the conversations I had with a marine biologist who explained me about what is happening, how the ocean plays a role, how our oxygen, half the oxygen, comes from the ocean, and hold on. That's there must be more. What is happening in this field? And I really remember that Sander, this was actually in collaboration with Amsterdam University of Applied Science,
Right.
where we talked about, okay, what is happening in this world of ocean sustainability, ocean climate change, restoration initiatives. This field, and one of the things that we notice is, hold on, there's already 10,000 organizations there, and
Yeah.
why should we do exactly the same? We're not this competitive people who want to outcompete others. We also felt like, yeah, but this is a good idea. There's also another good idea, and look at this one, what they are doing, right?
Yeah.
And this really triggered that. Okay, so how would it be if instead of doing the same thing, comparable thing, or something that is almost the same, why don't we do something that supports the whole group? That would really make a difference in scaling, and it could also be something that differentiates in the fact that we don't do competition. Period. That's a very clear appointment we make. We don't do competition. There's only collaborators and people who if you have the right mindset, if you have the right intentions and want to make a difference or impact in ocean, climate change, or sustainability, you're welcome to join, and we're more than happy to help you with visibility, awareness, and funding. That's where we come in.
Yeah.
And that's where we are today.
Yeah.
Well, and I think it's I think it's really, I'm going to say this, and I don't mean this as an insult. It's very mature of you to come into a field where you don't have as much experience. You're getting to know what's going on. You see what's available. You see the type of organizations that are out there doing great work, and you understand and you respect them to do that. And then you sit there like, how do we play a role here where, we can still be collaborative, which was the reason why you were on last time, Bart, and talk about collaboration, but also like, how do we support this industry? And I think it's really important, and especially with the business mindsets that you have, it's like, where can we fill the gap?
Yeah.
And what gap? And I feel like the biggest gap, and I've seen this, I've been at this for a long time, over 20 years, in marine and freshwater biology, but also in communications, and talking to a number of different people and seeing how there are some shortcomings within the marine conservation field. When you graduate as a marine scientist or as a conservationist, whether it be an advocate or a lawyer, and you want to work in, it could be any field, really, as any field can go into marine conservation. It's a hard thing to do to start a career, because you can go to government, you can go to nonprofit organizations, you can go to private consulting and do it that way.
Yeah.
But it all depends on the funding that's around. Even in government, it's not guaranteed. As we see, like in Canada in the past, when a specific party gets in, they decide to cut all the environmental positions, or because they don't want to have to deal with that. And we're seeing that in the US at this point. And it's very interesting to come in, and the gap that I've seen is those people who don't fit within those three pillars. It's these independent people who have great projects, who have like great ideas and great products, but they just don't have the ability to get the funding to get those projects moving forward, which could have a significant impact, whether it be locally, regionally, or even nationally or internationally. And I feel like that's where you guys really fit in. And I like that.
Yeah, in a way, what is we take a lot of inspiration actually from what we've seen. I mean, the people are there, the solutions are there. Technology has never been the issue. So what is stopping us? And we found out is very much about, many people don't even know what is possible.
No.
And this is where we want to play a role in. How can we make people aware of how things are possible? And if you know that things are possible, if you feel inspired, of course, you want to be part of solutions. You want to be on the good side. You want to help. You want to support and make a difference. And this is where we build a bridge between society and impact makers. Like in your example, it could be anyone, a student, someone who retired and follows his or her passion, or entrepreneurs. There's so many people who have amazing ideas, and we feel like they should be leveraged in what they're doing and deserve to be scaling their efforts and their impact. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a huge part of it. And I feel like that's interesting. So when you got to that point where you're like, how do we do this? Where did the idea come from for, or why don't you just talk about the goal of Balean, and then talk about like how that idea evolved into that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So what we do is we do awareness, visibility, and funding for ocean impact initiatives around the planet. And we got into this field by the sense that there's something missing. Funding is clearly one of the biggest issues to make initiatives scale. And the other part is that most people, normal people like me, are not even aware of what is already there. So when we were talking about this, I remember very clearly, Sander, that we talked about, how would it be if we bring this together in some sort of platform? And could we do crowdfunding? Could we do matchmaking? And I really remember the moment that you said, yeah, but actually, Bart, this should be combined with an experience where people can connect. It's a community. So why don't we combine funding, awareness, and visibility in a community feeling where you can feel welcome, where you can feel part of solutions, where you can go for an experience, and more importantly, to be part of the solution, no matter where you are, what skills you bring to the table, or what your background is.
Yeah. And maybe also it's an advantage for us not being marine scientists, but out of the field. We know what the general people do not know. They have no clue about what organizations there are, what they can do, how they can help in protecting any ocean or sea or whatever. And I think with our lack of knowledge in this case, we can maybe bring the system, the app, the technology that they need to understand. Okay, here's how I can make impact. This is what I can do.
Yeah, and I've had the great fortune of being part of this program, in the early stages, and I definitely appreciate that. I've gotten to know both of you, but I've gotten to know the other people in the early adopter program, as you call it, and it's been such an amazing evolution for my own way of communicating. As someone who's in communications, it's really great to see, because I have my own, I'm stuck in, like, I do this a lot on my own. I take advice from people that come in, but a lot of it's stuck in my head. And when you get stuck in your own head and you think, oh, this is what the people want, this is what they want, but to be able to hear it from the both of you, but also your collaboration with Natalie Gilson, who's a communications expert and has been a friend of the podcast, has been on this podcast as well, to be able to really spell it out for people of how we do things, why we're doing projects from outside of not only our own heads, but outside of the marine field, because what we know as what's important to the marine field may not be necessarily the priorities of people outside the marine field. And to be able to sometimes just go down to the most simplest part of what we're trying to do might be enough to impress not only the both of you, but also the funders that will be, joining the platform, supporting the platform. I think that's been like a really eye-opening thing for me during this process, and I'm sure to the other early adopters.
Awesome.
Oh, yeah. Well, thank you. Thanks. First of all, a big thank you for these insights. I mean, sometimes we also don't know, right?
Of course,
we're also not communicators. We both come from engineering, remember? But what I find super interesting is we kickstarted this early adopter program. Said, hey, look, we have an idea for a platform. It's not yet there, but do you want to be part of it? That's our early adopter program. We're launching the platform in October 2025, and during this program, where we set up workshops, collaboration, knowledge exchange, and sharing with Natalie from Pisces about ocean storytelling, about how to tell what you're doing, I was also surprised and really encouraged by the fact how much knowledge there already is in this group. There was this amazing sense of, okay, let's help the others, let's help my friends, let's also help other organizations who might be on the other side of the ocean, literally. And sometimes you just bring this single thought that I haven't thought of before, and if you open up for that, it doesn't require, let's say, myself to have all this knowledge. If you just bring together the people and you create this atmosphere of knowledge exchange of a community with the same goals for making impact, ocean impact, that really brings in a lot of powerful forces. And we feel like we are definitely on the right path with now 11 organizations, but we're scaling, and the more people, the more initiatives, the more organizations we bring to the table, the more visitors we have, the more powerful this collaboration and knowledge exchange becomes.
Yeah, absolutely. Why don't you let people know? We've talked about what Balean is and what is trying to do. For the people in the audience who are, early career researchers, they're scientists, they're engineers, they're people of all different backgrounds, people who want to know how they can help protect the ocean. Once the platform launches,
Yes.
how can they help, other than sharing the platform, of course, but how can they help support the platform and the projects that are there? Like, what does it look like for them when they, like, the ideal when they go to the site and to the platform?
We're building a minimum viable product now, so the very bare functionality, which entails having the projects, all these organizations that have their projects are on the platform, and you can read about what they are doing, what impact they are making, and then you can donate. So the best way to help both Balean and those organizations is to donate. That's the first step, right? And the organizations need their money. They really need some funding to make more impact. But also Balean needs to grow, needs to scale up, needs to also require some money to do that. So we also ask for a tip on top of the donation for us.
Of course.
That's the first thing. But that's only a starting point. This is where the journey starts. From there onwards, we have like a huge amount of ideas. Think about, contact those organizations directly in like a comment or chat functionality where you can talk to those people and ask if they need more help. Think about things like citizen science, where people can provide content, data, images, whatever. We haven't thought about it, what the details are, but they can provide that, add that to the platform, and we can sort of process that and give back the data from it. Think about people or organizations not only projecting their projects that they're working on, but also maybe events, volunteering events that they have, or volunteering work that they require, and then people can directly apply to those events or those volunteering jobs. So
maybe your next job is there. Eh?
Yes.
Who knows? We have been very. That was very interesting. Is that as soon as we started and the moment we had our website live, we had volunteers helping us. People we never met before. And suddenly they're part of the team. And that's also something where we feel like, okay, this is something where we can make a difference. If you feel like, I want to be part of it, I would like to contribute to an initiative in Mexico, in the Netherlands, or in Canada, and support them financially, perfect. If you feel like, it's around the corner, I can help, or it's not around the corner, but I can help remotely supporting them. There's a lot of ways how you can actually be part of bringing solutions but it's experience as well. Stories, ocean stories. There's so many people who just have a passion for the ocean. They live on the ocean, sometimes literally write stories about it. Podcast. I know someone who does podcasts. There are so many people who really care about what we're doing. We did not get this just from our market research. We really experienced firsthand how much passion there is, and passion that deserves to be shared with like-minded people.
Yeah, I agree. I think this platform, as you said, right now it's a an MVP, like a minimal viable product that you're putting forth, and it can build from there. And I think that will be really interesting, the different possibilities that can come in. But just the fact that, you know, the exposure for these projects that may not have this exposure on an international level through this platform is such an important part. You know, we all work within our own communities, within our own sometimes silos, you know, where we're just kind of stuck within our own people and our own network. To be able to be part of a larger network that is international is really important to all of us. You know, anybody who becomes part of this platform. The interesting question that I have, you know, you have definitely made a conscious decision to support international projects. You know, we have a couple people from Canada. We have a couple, like you mentioned, some in Mexico. Why was that? Like, you could have said, we want to stay in, like, just in the like support projects in the Netherlands, which took completely understandable. You know the Netherlands, you're in, you know, it's your home and your home country. Or you could have said the European Union just in general, because there's a lot of connections there as well. What made you decide we want to open this up internationally?
Yeah, I think there's a few things that really that we really noticed. I remember that we were in November 23. We were at Ocean Innovation, which happens to be in The Hague in the Netherlands at the time. And the first thing you notice is that it's a really, really international environment. It's not like if there is an initiative from, let's say, from Canada, that it's only Canadians working there,
Right.
And the same for the Netherlands. So it's really international. It's very diverse. You see all kinds of people you've never met before, but they have the same passion for ocean impact. On the other hand, we in modern times, Sander has been to Australia, and he got this trigger for, oh, hold on, this is something big. We really felt like, sometimes the inspiration also comes from where you've been. And you might have been on holiday in Portugal, where you got your inspiration. Hold on, there's something great happening here. And you start caring for an environment or a certain field where you don't come from, where you don't live, but you just know the place and you start caring for it. So it really breeds like this whole international, global collaboration from the sector as a whole, but also how the ocean is experienced by different people. Yeah, and let's not forget, the ocean is 71% of the surface of planet Earth, right? It doesn't stop locally. Everything is connected. There is one large mass of water which is all interconnected. It's the largest ecosystem in the planet. And if I am in the water here in the Netherlands, it's the same water. Well, I might run into some conversations with marine biologists, but it's the same water as someone who is in India or in China. So it really felt natural to start exploring it. And when we kickstarted our early adopter program for finding organizations, impact makers, we got very quickly already approached by people from not from the Netherlands. And we never set a border to, no, you should have these or those barriers, and we're only accepting from Europe or from the Netherlands. No, we opened up, see what happens, and we automatically and also to our great enthusiasm, found out there's a very collaborative space.
Yeah, no, absolutely. There's definitely people who want to collaborate, who want to help, who need some help, who need this platform. And I think it's very important. And I'm looking forward to not only participating in it, but seeing how this platform grows, not only from the launch all the way to its growth and its evolution. I think it's something that's absolutely needed in this field. And I think it's going to be really great to see these projects get supported from a variety of different levels, as all of you mentioned, right? It's not only from a funding perspective, exposure perspective, maybe citizen science perspective, maybe an ability to recruit people to help out, to volunteer, and so forth. I think that's really important, and get that international exposure. So I want to thank both of you for coming on the podcast and telling us this story, telling us how you met. I have one question though. As a dog owner myself, and I live in a neighborhood that's all a lot of dogs. Like I would say 75% of the people who in this neighborhood own at least one dog. And a lot of the times when we're walking, we all know each other.
Yes.
But there's a good chance that we know the dog's name more than we know the owner's name. So how long was it before you actually knew each other's names and not just your dog's names when you met?
I think in that sense it helped being neighbors. So when I moved in, they also welcomed us as neighbors in the neighborhood. So that's how that sort of came to be pretty fast. But you're totally right. I mean, there's so many people around where I know the name of the dog, but not the name of the person.
We're just like, oh, that's Chester's owner. Oh, okay, or that's Nacho's owner. Yeah, that's how it works. Guys, thank you. Sorry, go ahead, Bart.
No, I really recognize what you're saying here. It took me a while before it was not Sander neighbor, but it was Sander Brienen in my phone.
Oh yeah. So the last name.
Hey, what I was thinking, Andrew, is now that we have our launch coming up, it might be a nice idea to host some of the participants in the podcast as well. I mean,
absolutely,
we're doing some nice work there. They have some amazing stories to tell.
Yes.
So perhaps this could be a nice starting point as well, and so that people can also get to know the founders, the initiative takers, the scientists behind it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's something that, we've discussed for quite some time, and to be able to bring them on the podcast and to be able to help them get that exposure, and then for that, interview to live on the website, and so that people can get to know them for time and time. Like every time they come to the site, they can read their founder's story and their story and the project story. So I think that's a definite bonus for everybody. For myself, for you guys, for the project, and for the people that we're going to be offering. So I think that's always wonderful. I can't wait to do this. I can't wait to see the launch, and we'll have you back on as we launch so that we can get people to participate and to really get in there. But I want to thank you both for coming on the podcast and sharing this story.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it was really nice to have this opportunity.
Absolutely. Totally. Thank you, Bart and Sander, for joining us on today's episode of the How to Protect the Ocean podcast. It was great to have you on. Great to hear your founder's story. If you want to know more about Balean, you can go to Balean, BALEAN.org. That's BALEAN.org. You can check out this dynamic website, which is changing day by day, and it's something that I feel is very important for you to check out and look at, in the future. This is not just now, but look at in October when they launch, but also in the future. It's going to be great to see how this platform is going to build and how it's going to grow as we go along. Some of the things I thought was really cool is, how both of these gentlemen evolved in their careers and evolved into doing something with meaning for them. Everybody has their own meaning. Everybody has their own purpose, and everybody has something that's important to them. For Saunders and Bart, it was, hey, let's do something great for the ocean. Let's do something meaningful for the ocean. And I think it was great that they're walking along the coastline, walking with their dogs. That's how I met through the dogs. As you know, I have two dogs that, I meet a lot of people through here where I know more of the dogs' names than the owners' names for most part. That's our neighborhood. We have so many dogs, but that dogs bring people together. I'm telling you, it's a great social aspect, and they're also great pets. They're great companions. They get to be part of the family pretty quickly. But, it was really interesting how that brought these two individuals together. Fate brought them together in terms of moving in across the street from each other. They start talking, they start welcoming each other in the neighborhood. Shows how community can grow something really great. And then they're like, let's look at something here. Let's look at the ocean. Where can we help the best? And it's not to say, hey, we're just going to start an organization. We're going to put our own programs together. We're going to just kind of bombard an already busy and cluttered field. But we're going to do something where it's like, there are so many people who are doing great projects. They just need a little bit more support, or they need a lot of support. Let's be able to provide that for them. Let's create a platform where we can provide that for them. Provide them with exposure, provide them with funding, give them the tools that they need to get both. And I think that's great. And I love the platform. I've loved my experience so far with both of these guys in Balean and under their early adopters program. They have great vision, great insight, very collaborative, very friendly, which you don't get all the time, unfortunately, in this field, but we got it with them. So I wanted to have them on the podcast and be able to share those stories. And of course, we'll also share when they launch, and we'll have them back on to talk about that and, what kind of projects we can do. We'll also have some of the founders of these projects on to talk about their projects as well. So you'll get to know these individuals and projects that have teams. So I think it'll be a lot of fun. So anyway, that's something to look forward to in the future, but I want to thank you so much. If you have any questions or comments, you can put them in the comments below if you're watching this on YouTube, or you can just contact me either on Instagram through DM at How to Protect the Ocean, or you can go to the website speakupforblue.com/contact. If you fill out the form, it goes right to my email. I'd be more than happy to answer you back. I want to thank you again for joining me and listening to this episode and all the other episodes that we've had. We've had a bump in numbers over the summer, especially on YouTube, which is great. And of course, on audio is always wonderful to have everybody in the audience. We're expanding, we're building this community and growing this community for more people to learn about the ocean. That's basically what we want to do here, is provide a resource for people who want to learn more about the ocean and change how we can live for a better ocean. That's the tagline. That's what we live by here. And I want to thank you so much. So thank you so much for joining me on today's episode of the How to Protect the Ocean podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Lewin, from the True North Strong and Free. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next time, and happy conservation.